Hello, you have arrived at the Convergence Corner. It is a podcast from ASI Media and Print and Promo Marketing. I'm Brendan Menapace, and I'm the content director for Print and Promo Marketing here at ASI.
And I'm Chris Ruvo, executive editor for ASI Media.
And today we are joined by Trisha and Scott Williams from My Tribe Print and Promo Marketing, and you're going to hear a lot more about them in a minute. So, would you guys like to introduce yourselves and your background in the industry?
Absolutely. I'm Trisha Williams with My Tribe Print and Promo. We are a Native American female-owned print promo and apparel company. We're located here in Lake Park, Georgia, but we work with Indian tribes and Native American entities all over the United States. So
that's really interesting. I do want to get into that aspect of things, but really the focus of the show today, like I said before, is that convergence of print and promo marketing. And I know you guys do a good bit of both, everything from sticky notes and signage, along with a host of traditional promotional products. So which came first? Were you guys doing mostly print? Were you doing mostly promo, or was it both at the same time? How did that come together for you?
Realistically, promo came first. I would say we're primarily a promo distributorship, but we would have clients ask for different printed items, whether it be a banner or business cards, all kinds of, I kind of feel like promo incorporates print too, because it's so similar.
Yeah, we've heard people say that it's that when you're blending or bringing together these two mediums, that it often can be like an organic thing like that, for lack of a better word, where clients are just asking for it, and you're like, well, geez, if I could provide this, that's X amount of more dollars I'm going to get, and X amount of more loyalty. So it just makes sense to do it.
Absolutely, it doesn't make sense not to do it.
That's also what we've heard, and there's the idea that if you're not providing print, some of your competitors are. Right. So from that perspective of your business, what was kind of the learning curve as you added more capabilities, like things like signage and things like that? What was that process like to get to where you are now?
It was painful.
Yeah.
Having to learn things like bleed and and just learning all the different aspects of print that you don't have to deal with in promo. Knowing what size paper and what size postcards, and it's definitely interesting.
How did you go about doing it though? I'm curious. Like, was it like, did you take courses? Was it just like hey, as things come up, let me go to Dr. Google and like look things up? Like how did it work?
I'm really fortunate. We've got some really amazing suppliers in our industry, and I've been able to lean on them for, okay, look, I'm not understanding this. Can you just explain it like I'm an idiot?
Okay.
And they've been really, really gracious in helping me learn. When I first started my business 10 years ago, and I started under a different business name, I didn't have a clue. I had just joined ASI, and I thought, okay, well, I don't have a graphic designer. I need to learn graphic design. So I went down this rabbit hole and taught myself graphic design using Adobe Illustrator. Thank God for YouTube. Tasty Toots on YouTube. Yeah. Highly recommend. And then as our business grew, and we started doing more print, I started realizing that that's not a great place to allocate my time. Mm-hmm. So I found a great company to partner with, and they do all of our graphic design stuff. And fortunately, they're very, very well versed in print. So I can pretty much tell the guy, all right, Malin, this is what I need. I work with Lyco Designs out of New Jersey. It's lycodesigns.com. They're phenomenal. They're fast. They're inexpensive, effective. Mm-hmm. I sent him something this morning. I said, I need this back in like 30 minutes. He had it back in that time. Yeah. So, but we just, it was painful. Learning was definitely interesting. It's pretty much self-taught, and like I said, leaning on my suppliers.
I was going to say partnerships, right? Like forming those effective partnerships where maybe there's a gap in your knowledge, but there's somebody there who can help you, and it's going to behoove them to, because they're going to make money too. So it's finding those good partners sounds like a really great way to like learn and grow success with when you're going into these new mediums.
Absolutely.
Partnerships, and there's that idea of, necessity is the mother of invention, where we hear so many times in this industry of someone being asked like, hey, can you do signage? Hey, can you do apparel? And they're like, I'll figure it out. They say sure, but then they go to our best friend YouTube and figure out how it works. But along these lines of combining print and promo together, can you think of a campaign that you've worked on that blended those two worlds and it stands out to you as maybe especially interesting or challenging or successful, just any way that it stands out to you?
Actually, I've got a couple examples right here. Within the Native American community, we've got something that's pretty important to the Native community. It's called MMIP, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons. This is one piece that we did. So, and I did this with Pin Machine. They're a phenomenal supplier. Love them to death. This right here is a backer card. I created all the information on the front and on the back. And then right here, we've got a lapel pin. So this is a perfect example of both worlds on one piece right here.
And just for the people, Trisha, who are just listening to this on audio and don't have that visual, just can you explain to us just what that is? Just walk us through what that is.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
It's a backer card. It's a nice, I'd say probably a 18-point card stock with a lapel pin right here in the quarter. Across the front, it's got all kinds of information, and we also have a graphic of a woman with the red handprint over her face. Which is kind of the graphic that describes MMIP. And then on the back, we've got some information. This is actually a self-promo we did, some information about our company. The front, I didn't really want to talk so much about us. This is about, what we stand for, what we want to bring awareness to. And then, like I said, I was sending this out to clients, so our information's on the back.
That's really special that, it's a relatively simple campaign. Is the cardstock and the lapel pin, but you're able to get such a strong message, and there's something really meaningful in a relatively minimal campaign.
Absolutely, and even we're talking about incorporating the two worlds. I created the design. I sent it over to Pin Machine, and luckily they're smart enough to know how to put my stuff on here. So
got it. And so what kind of response did you get to this? Like this was self promo is probably the wrong word, but it's maybe a business education to your clients about your values is maybe the better way to put it. So what kind of response did you receive?
It's been absolutely fantastic. It's one of those things that as soon as when we did these, we also did. Do you have one of the sticky notes?
I'm gonna have sticky notes.
We also did a set of a sticky note pad that matches this. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. I use the same exact artwork. I just lightened the opacity on this so that you can see the design on the sticky note. Then we've got our information at the back. Did this through 3M, but
did a great job. Worked with AJ over there, and he was great to work with and got us hooked up.
He did. But
that was 3M.
Absolutely.
3M. Okay. All
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but the response from our clients was, I mean, as soon as they started receiving these, they were like, "Oh my God, we need to do that. Can we do that?" So it was an instant sale right there.
That's the best outcome you can have.
And I think for us, educating our clients as far as the culture of our company and what we do and why we do it, I think that was a real big eye opener for our clients.
I'd love to stay on that topic if you don't mind. I think it is very interesting and something that I think a lot of listeners just might not be aware of. They're not in this world. So can you give me a bit of insight? You said you work with a lot of Native American tribes for products. What are some of the products you're selling to them, and what's that process like, and how does it differ from maybe some just standard commercial products that distributors work with?
It's really not that different. If you think of an Indian tribe, our tribes are their own governments. So anything that you would have on a local, state, or federal level, we have within a tribe. So we have domestic violence programs. We've got police departments, we've got fire departments, we've got our own ambulances, we have, health
Judicial
departments,
system.
we've got our own judicial systems. So all of these departments, and especially, the DV initiatives, and that's really kind of where my heart lies. Many, many years ago, prior to this amazing guy, I am a domestic violence survivor. So I don't call myself a victim. Maybe at the time I was. Now I'm a survivor, and this guy stuck with me. But for me, it's very important to be able to, my goal this year has been to be proactive about working directly with our DV programs and helping them expand their outreach, because I know firsthand just how important that is.
That's really amazing. That's incredible. And how, through your mission and your job here with print and promo, how can you accomplish or use your work here to accomplish that goal?
Every single day. Every so often, I'm not one to push a specific item to our clients, but every once in a while, I'll get an email from a supplier, and it happened last year with Akron Line. Bruce had sent out an email, and it had a nightlight in it, and I thought, a nightlight. If you think of a domestic violence program, typically going through a domestic violence situation, there are going to be children involved. What's going to help keep a child calm at night after they've gone through a traumatic situation like this? A nightlight. And so I picked a handful of my clients, my DV program clients, and I sent them mock-ups of this nightlight. And I think I don't like selling. I don't like saying the word sell. I serve my clients. I don't sell. But I was able to provide them with these nightlights that have done an amazing job. And that was about a year ago. We're working on reorders for those right now.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's great.
How did they, I'm just curious, was there some type of branding they did on them? Was it like the name of their organization, or like, no, so like not only was it the nightlight themselves, it was that message that was on there. It's like, hey, like they're like, we're your light in this situation, right?
One specific program actually had a character that they asked us to have vectorized, and we did that. And it's kind of like a cat with a headband across it and a feather. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's full color. And we were able to put that on these nightlights. It's almost like a cartoon character. So it's kind of comforting to the kid when they've got it plugged in and it comes on at night.
That's really cool.
Commercial.
No, that's really neat. You've had nothing but glowing reviews for all of your supplier partners here, but have you run into any real roadblocks on recent campaigns, like the lapel pin or maybe the nightlight, or any common roadblocks that you've tend to run into when working on promotions that blend print and promo together? And if so, how do you manage those?
I really haven't. Like I said, we are so fortunate to have so many amazing suppliers. We're also part of ACS, AIM Capital Solutions. So we have a list of VIP suppliers that we can rely on too. And our VIP suppliers are absolutely phenomenal, in addition to the other suppliers that we have there maybe aren't associated necessarily with ACS. I mean, I have supplier reps that I know I can reach out to anytime, day or night, for the most part. And they're going to answer their phone. And if I need help finding something, they're going to help me find it. And technically, it's not me that finds things. It's this guy right here. I do the marketing.
Yeah, Scott, how is it, like, how are you working the relationship with suppliers on print and promo, going back and with the different mediums and just understanding it and keeping everything moving?
I think I just kind of I work with, especially our VIP suppliers. I mean, I just said to them, hey, here's an example. Here's this. Tell me what we can do. If it's not a specific item, I lean on them. I mean, you never really realize what work it takes to do a three-fold brochure until you have to do a three-fold brochure. It's one of those.
Yeah.
You see them all the time, but even just the orientation of the artwork. It's got to be the right way, or it's going to be a little funky. So I mean, with our like Trisha said, our VIP suppliers, no, they're the ones that have the knowledge. We know enough to go about an inch deep and a mile wide, which is a quote she says all the time. But our suppliers hold their products.
Yeah.
And when we use them, and being part of ACS, we have a lot of good national sales reps that work with us directly, and they're always eager to help out. And I don't think I wait longer than usually a few hours, even just for quotes and just ideas.
Okay. So it's kind of that upfront legwork of vetting through to good partners kind of makes the whole machine run better, I guess. Like over time, it's not you're not having to reinvent the wheel every time. You're working with those select partners who are going to steer you in the right way, and you trust them enough to follow their expertise, basically.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can name off probably 30 of them.
Okay.
And part of being a good partner to our suppliers too is making sure that we're doing right by them. We're making sure that we have good artwork that we send to them. I don't ever send a PNG. Everything that our supplier partners get is going to be print ready vector artwork. Mm-hmm. I'm always doing my best to help promote them, so that maybe I'm not going to use them every single day, but I might need them every 6 months. And if I'm helping promote them as frequently as I possibly can, or give suggestions, like in the Promo Pros group on Facebook, or I host a weekly networking and supplier showcase on Zoom on Fridays. Having these great suppliers come in and get in front of other distributors, that means they're going to be in business and they're going to be ready and willing to take my orders when I need them to.
I think you also find with the suppliers too, it may be our first time, but if they're in that space, it's not their first. They could tell us, hey, this is what we traditionally do for a lot of other clients, for other distributors. So why not lean on them, because they know what's traditionally done? I mean, why recreate the wheel when, and this may be our first time. It could be our 50th order. But if it's spread over years, sometimes you just don't do enough of certain things to really remember everything, but they're doing it every day. So we lean on them for their experience.
I mean, for instance, when's the last time you heard of a distributor doing branded fire extinguishers?
Oh, let's hear about it.
Yeah. We have our
necessary though. It's something you need.
We have our elder service program for my Indian tribe, the Wyandotte Nation, and she's doing fire safety this year. Okay. Last year she did some fire retardant blankets. This year she's doing fire extinguishers and smoke detectors, and she has the fire marshal coming out to give it a demonstration how to properly use these pieces of equipment. So she reached out to us and she's like, hey, can you do fire extinguishers? And we said, yes.
I think it's a good lesson for someone who might be kind of new to promo, of like just how many things could be promotional products. If you can put a logo on something, it can be a promotional product. And once you're in that world, you'll see it everywhere. You'll notice the logo or the label or something on the product.
Yep. And we had no idea we were going to find them. Who did we end up getting those through?
I want to say Top Golf, but we've been there a couple times this year.
It wasn't Top Golf, I promise.
We can come back to that while he's looking for that.
But you hear me, putting out our supplier names and our partner names.
Top brands.
That to me is my way of giving back to my suppliers for doing such a great job and helping us when we can, or when they can.
So from a distributor standpoint, though, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone looking to emulate your distributor model and your success that you've had?
I got a few pieces of advice, and I actually wrote them down, so I'm putting my glasses on.
Oh boy, yeah. For those who aren't watching, the glasses are on now.
The glasses are on.
Well, the one thing I can say is that you're on Promo Kitchen.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is I guess an incubator for distributorships, and she's mentored other distributors. So we're always very open at talking. There's no competition. We all have our markets, and you're servicing your clients the way they should be, then you're not going to lose them. If you lose them, we all know those clients that are penny pinchers and price shoppers. No, that's not going to be your long-term success to your business. The people that are trying to save money every day, which is fine, but we offer a service.
Absolutely. All right. So now here's my input to finish up Scott's. First off, don't rush your business. Don't rush it. These businesses do not happen overnight. So don't expect it to happen overnight. Build your vendor relationships, know your supplier reps, who you can go to if there's something wrong, or if you need information. Understand the production side and be ready to educate your clients, especially when it comes to timelines and artwork requirements. So most of my clients have no idea what their artwork is. Luckily, like I said, I've got a great relationship with Malind at Lyco Designs, and I can send him over a logo, or for us, they're called tribal seals. And within a few hours, I've got that artwork back, and I've got things ready for my suppliers. Also, know your audience. Not everyone who needs print or promo is your ideal client. Make sure you're working with clients who appreciate your expertise and values and who you genuinely enjoy working with in return. It is okay to say no. And I learned this from Mark Jaruzelski when I worked for Sortist. Learn the value of the word no. I didn't learn that early enough. I learned that from Mark. There may come a time where you may have to fire a client, and that's part of protecting your energy, your brand, and your team. So not every client is right for working with you. I've had to fire some. It's okay. It's okay, because when you let go of negative energy, positive energy comes your way.
I think that's a tough truth for some people, because they just want, the customers are always right. They want to make the most sales they can, even if it's the expense of their, like you said, their positive energy or their business.
Absolutely. Also focus on solving real problems, build trust, provide thoughtful, consistent service. And when your clients know they can rely on you to handle it all with care, everything else falls into place. So definitely ride that balance between being an advocate for your client and an advocate for your supplier at the same time. Don't ever I don't want to say don't over expect from your suppliers, but don't be mean to your suppliers ever.
Yeah. I see that you are reliant on them, and especially if you're working with ones who are genuine, as you've very much emphasized through this discussion, who are genuinely partners to you. They're not, you're not just a means to an end to them. They want you to succeed. They want to support you well, and they're giving that support in turn. So you don't want to throw them under the bus. Is basically what you're saying. Yeah.
It's a symbiotic relationship, not a parasitic relationship.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to say
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
We're going to talk about tariffs because we have to.
Yeah.
These have been at the center of just about every conversation in promo right now. How are they impacting you right now, if at all? And do you see things changing either positively or negatively anytime soon?
Who cares?
Scott says, who cares? We really haven't had any issues with tariffs.
That's good.
And the way that I look at it is that our industry is constantly changing. Regardless of tariffs, our industry is nonstop changing. We have to adapt. And personally, I feel like the tariffs, we were really prepared for the tariff situation, because we all went through COVID. I mean, if you look back at what happened during COVID, there's not a whole lot of difference between preparing. There was no preparation for COVID whatsoever. It was just kind of, here you go. Everybody shut the whole world down. And then, but for these tariffs, we knew we had advance notice. So we've been very careful of the suppliers that we're going to use. We do have 2 companies that we work with that are a direct import from China, but we go to them as needed. If we can't find it through our traditional VIP suppliers, that's when we will go to direct to China. But our VIP suppliers always come first, and our VIP suppliers have been very good at taking care of us and making sure that we're not being impacted by the tariffs. At some point in the future, is it going to happen? Maybe, but right now we're on a 90-day pause. So not too terribly worried about it.
I want to circle back to something that you said before, just real quick, before I lose the thought, is that on, you said your company's, even though you've been in the industry a while, the company's only 3 years old. And I just want to point that out, that what's a relatively young distributorship has embraced print and promo kind of from the start. So I would hope that would be an encouragement to, we're a big advocate of bringing those two together. And the fact that you've kind of done it from the start, I think speaks volumes to where maybe the industry is going, and certainly where some newer companies entering the industry might be, what they might be looking to do. So not directly related to what you were just saying, but I didn't want to lose that point.
I think avoiding print, because I know some distributorships will not do print at all, which my issue is of, yeah, some print can be kind of a pain because you don't have the experience, but at the same time, they go somewhere else, go get the print done, and they also do promotional. Now they just switch all their business so they can buy from one.
Absolutely.
So it's money left on the table that could really lose you clients altogether. It's like, well, we could do your print and promo, where you only want to do the promo side of it. Yeah, just lean on your suppliers and get that experience and just go with it from there.
And I will say, Harris Mailman over at Navitor, the guy who's got my respect. He has kicked his butt for us doing some print work for us, including business checks.
And I think we've learned over the years too. Whenever we've had issues with suppliers, if there's hiccups and such, we're very upfront and honest to suppliers. Say, hey, how can we keep this from happening again?
Mm-hmm.
Some distributors probably don't want to, they don't want to rock the boat or say anything, but they need to know because it's not always obvious to them if there's an issue. So, having that open communications with our reps and such with different suppliers, I think that just gives you that strong connection that next time you place an order, things are going to get done and on time.
Trisha and Scott, thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. You guys have been really generous with your time, and your story is really cool to hear. Thank you so much again. Best of luck with everything in the future. And once again, for Convergence Corner, I am Brendan Menapace. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.